back to Gaming Hot Takes, a series where I read your hottest takes about various video games. In today's video, I'll be reading your hottest takes about Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now this game, if you guys don't know, is my favorite game of all time, so I'm very curious to know what you guys preferred maybe over Galaxy 1 or what you didn't prefer, and what your thoughts are. So with that said, let's get into your hot takes for this week. I wish there were more galaxies with bosses at the end. So they're obviously referencing the boss Blitz galaxy from Galaxy 2, and it is one that I like, but if you saw my tier list recently, I put that as my least favorite galaxy, because here's the thing, I enjoy the boss gauntlet, but if you take all those out, there's really not a galaxy to explore or anything. There's like checkpoints in between, but it's like there's nothing really beyond the boss fights. Regarding the boss fights, I do kind of wish we got some other Galaxy 1 bosses. Like, I would have loved to see King Fin again, because I love King Fin. One of my favorite Mario bosses of all time, honestly. Maybe like a top 10. I adore King Fin. But I think they kind of hit it on the nail with, like, you know, having the easy one with Dino Piranha, and then ending with one of the hardest being Fiery Dino Piranha. You got Bouldergeist in there as well. So they nailed a good balance of the bosses in that galaxy. As far as seeing more, I don't think there really needed to be, because Galaxy 1 didn't have that many bosses. I think it had a good amount, but I think the rest of them, besides the one that were in the Boss Blitz Galaxy, were kind of not great, like the Mandabug Tower. You had the Underground Gunner. So I think if they had had a second galaxy with bosses at the end, or like with bosses throughout, it would have been like, you know, the lesser galaxy bosses, and King Fin, I guess. But like, you know, I don't think there needed to be more than one. I think one was enough. But I do maybe wish they swapped out a couple. Again, I did want to see King Fin. But I think overall, in terms of the balance of the bosses, they really nailed it. And yeah, I don't think there need to be more than one. I think one boss, Gauntlet Galaxy, was more than enough. The perfect run isn't even that hard. So here's the thing, right? If you're someone who's played the perfect run like a gazillion times like I have, then you maybe could say this. But you have to think of the people that are playing it for the first time who maybe aren't used to like super hard Mario levels. So if you're a first time player, then this is a huge disagreement, because that is like, you know, like maybe a top 3 like hardest levels of all time in any Mario game. Now me, obviously, I played it enough to where I could beat it in like maybe 2 or 3 tries, or even first try if I'm lucky. But, again, you have to think of the audience that is, like, a first-time player or someone who's, like, not good at hard levels. So, with that in mind, this is still a really, really hard level. Even so, like, even if you're someone who's played it a bunch of times like I have, it's still a very hard level. It's still hard to, like, you know, not screw up. It's hard to, like, not make one wrong move. It's a very long level, too. Like, you know, there's no checkpoint. So if you die at any point, you're sent all the way back to the beginning. So, it is brutal if you make one wrong move. So, I think it's still really hard. Yeah, me and a lot of people could probably beat it in less tries now, but, I think the average person, or the average Mario Galaxy 2 player would still, you know, consider it a very hard level, which it definitely is. So yeah, this is definitely a split here. If you're someone who's played it a bunch of times, this might be a good hot take to agree with, but if you're someone who's like a casual player who's not good at like really hard levels, then this is a huge disagreement. It's inferior to Galaxy 1 in basically every conceivable way. Man, these games are like over a decade old at this point, like even 15 years, but the argument is still going on in terms of which game is better, Galaxy 1 or Galaxy 2. Now, I prefer Galaxy 2, but I still love Galaxy 1. Galaxy 1 is my second favorite game of all time. Those are my 2 favorite games of like all time, period. But I do prefer Galaxy 1, 2. However, I will say 1 does have certain things about it that I like better than 2. I think the soundtrack overall is better in 1 than in 2. I think the story is better in Galaxy 1 than Galaxy 2. So yeah, I feel like 1 and 2 are like 2 parts of one whole, right? I feel like each one does does things better than the other. So for me, I think Galaxy 2 has the better overall gameplay and the better post-game by a mile. And I think 1 maybe has a better soundtrack, story, maybe a better final boss fight. The second one's good too, but I like the first one a bit better. Excuse me, sorry. But yeah, this is like a decade-old argument in terms of which one's better, and I think it comes down to like what you prefer. If you prefer like just solid gameplay, and especially like, you know, content after you beat the main game, I think 2 is the better game, obviously, with the green stars. But if you're someone like me who prefers music as one of your like top things and other stuff, then Galaxy 1 might be the better game for you. So they're both great, but if I had to pick one, I'd go with Galaxy 2. However, I disagree here that 2 is inferior to 1 in every conceivable way, because I don't really agree with that. I feel like 2 does a lot of things better than 1 has, or than 1 does, sorry. And it just builds upon what 1 set in stone, which is like, you know, Mario in space and anti-gravity, and they have Yoshi in Galaxy 2. So, yeah, I disagree here. Pros: more galaxies, more stars, more unique enemies and bosses, Yoshi, power-ups, green stars are a nice addition and challenge, play as Luigi early. Cons: music isn't as good as the first one, some ideas are rehashed. So a lot of the pros I obviously agree with. More galaxies is fun, you know, the green stars are definitely a good addition. Yoshi's a good addition. The power-ups, I would probably say, I'm not sure. I enjoy the Cloud Flower, even though it's a little bit broken. The Rock Mushroom's cool. But yeah, I feel like 1 and 2 have pretty even power-ups. I like the B one from Galaxy 1 as well. I think I might prefer 2's a bit better, I'm not sure. More unique enemies and bosses, I kind of agree with. I think the bosses in 2 overall are a bit more fun to fight than 1's bosses. Luigi, playing as Luigi is fun, I guess. As far as the cons, I did mention that I do prefer the soundtrack overall in Galaxy 1, even though 2 has a really good OST as well. Ideas being rehashed, I mean, that is to be expected. This isn't like a sequel that's meant to be like a, you know, complete, like, upgrade or, diversion from 1. It is building upon what 1 set in stone, as I mentioned in the last hot take. So yeah, it does have its own ideas, obviously, but because it is a direct sequel to Galaxy 1 and improves upon what that game set in stone, it is going to have some ideas that are, you know, reused, rehashed, improved upon, brought back, but, like, you know, tweaked a bit. So, I mean, that goes for any sequel ever. I know, like, Tears of the Kingdom, for example, you know, keeps a lot about Breath of the Wild and just improves upon that. So, you know, that's more so a sequel thing versus, like, something that's meant to be, you know, really criticized, because I think a lot of sequels of games do end up using ideas from the first game and just, you know, improve upon them and tweak them. So yeah, overall, I agree with most of this. The cons, maybe not so much, but, I think the pros definitely I mostly agree with. We'll likely never see an HD port of it due to some of the Yoshi reticle controls, and Nintendo won't release a Mario game that you can't play in handheld mode. So I'm pretty sure you're obviously referencing Mario 3D All-Stars, which surprisingly didn't include Galaxy 2. Still kind of a dumb decision. As far as a port of it, I don't think it's impossible, because I know people are like, you know, they can't do it because you have to point the controller at the screen to, like, do the Yoshi stuff. But, I mean, from what I've heard, the Galaxy 1 controls to, like, move the cursor wasn't bad. It is kind of awkward in handheld mode, having to use the touchscreen, I think. But honestly, I feel like they can maybe get around it, because you gotta remember, the Wii controller only had, like, a couple buttons, right? You had the A button, 1 and 2, B, and then you had the nunchuck. So, I guess maybe the Switch Pro controller could maybe allow for that to happen on the Switch 2, with, you know, having more buttons and maybe better gyro, and the Joy-Cons have the camera, which really could help out. So, I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. I think it's definitely still possible, but I think they just need to tweak, like, how certain parts of it work, and I do think if they end up, you know, keeping the controls from the first game in terms of how you control Yoshi, I think the camera on the Joy-Con is probably the best way to go about that. But yeah, I do still see it being possible. I think we're likely to get the next 3D Mario before we get a port of Galaxy 2, but I don't think a Galaxy 2 port for Switch 2 is entirely impossible. People praise the level design as a crazy upgrade from the first game, when really they just added new power-ups. Don't get me wrong, it was a very fundamental game, but it's glazed compared to Galaxy 1. So I think that both games have great design overall. I think for me, 2 does have the more creative galaxies, because they had some really cool ideas in there. 1's good too. I mean, again, both games are fantastic in terms of the level design. But yeah, they have new power-ups, yes. I think the power-ups overall for me are probably better in 2, not by, like, a big landslide. But yeah, as far as it being glazed, I'm not too up to date on what glaze means. I'm kind of a dummy, but yeah, I think both games have great level design. I think 2's for me might be just a tad bit better in terms of creativity and uniqueness, but 1 is still fantastic. So again, a lot of hot takes here are, you know, hard to really agree or disagree with because both games are so well made and so fantastic. So you know, you can pick one over the other in terms of, you know, certain factors like level design, for example. But I think both games, like, do them so well to where I don't think it's, you know, you can't really argue if someone prefers one over the other. Like, I prefer 2 over 1, but I think 1 is still a great game, so I wouldn't argue with somebody who prefers 1 over 2, because 1's still a fantastic game. But, yeah, in terms of the levels, I do prefer 2, but 1 is still great. Stop! Now she'll die a virgin! Stop! Stop it! Okay. Stop. Okay.
Stay the fuck in the fucking car!
Oh, fuck! That was a sneak peek of all the content that you might be missing out on by not becoming a YouTube member. When you're a YouTube member, you get so much bonus content such as all my anime watch-throughs, classic content like old Twitch streams, movie watch-alongs, and more. So what are you waiting for? Hit the join button down below, pick the tier you want, and enjoy all the benefits that come with your YouTube membership. If you're already a member, thank you for your support, enjoy your benefits, and now let's get back into the video. I'm not sure if it's a hot take, but a lot of the later levels feel super shoehorned in. I feel like they were running on fumes by the end there. If you're talking about the special world after you beat the, what is it, World 6? It's like World S or whatever, the special world, then yeah, I do kind of agree. Like, they brought back the Stone Cyclone area from Beach Bowl Galaxy and made that a whole entire galaxy, which was fine. You know, they had a Boss Blitz Galaxy, they had a Mario Squared Galaxy, which is just the Luigi Purple Coin level from Toy Time Galaxy in the first game. So yeah, I feel like a lot of them are definitely, they don't feel shoehorned into me, but they do feel like they were just trying to, I guess, kind of capture that Galaxy 1 nostalgia because of how good of a game that was. And they wanted to, like, include levels for people who maybe didn't play Galaxy 1. So I think that's fair, because again, there are probably people who played Galaxy 2 who didn't play the first game and, you know, maybe missed those levels, so they brought some of them back and, like, maybe tweaked them a bit. So it's not a bad idea, and yeah, I don't think it's shoehorned in. I think they wanted to, you know, give people the chance to either, you know, relive that if they played Galaxy 1, or if they, you know, missed it if they didn't play Galaxy 1. So, yeah, running on fumes, I don't really agree with that, but, yeah, I do agree that the special world is good, but it's definitely not as good as the other worlds, which have, you know, obviously original levels. But a lot of them are fun. I enjoyed the wall jumping one with the clones. That was a good one. Boss Blitz was fine for a boss gauntlet. I actually kind of enjoyed the rainbow rolling one as well, even though it kind of pissed me off a bit. But yeah, I disagree about it being super shoehorned in. I feel like they just wanted to capture, again, the nostalgia of Galaxy 1 and include some stuff from that, so yeah, I don't fully agree here. It's too linear compared to the games that came before it. It makes the game feel less open world and more get from point A to point B, like a normal 2D Mario game but with some 3D parts. I still love the game and think it's awesome though, just not as good as Galaxy 1. Both Galaxy games are obviously linear. They're not like fully open world, you can't like go wherever, like they do follow set paths. I don't think that's a bad thing. I can see why people prefer, like, you know, Mario Odyssey for how more open it is, and maybe 64, but for me, I feel like, you know, even though it is linear, I think Galaxy, the way it's structured with its level design, you know, it utilizes the linearity in a good way, I think. Would it be cool to be more open? Obviously, I mean, we might get Galaxy 3 in the future. I don't think we will, but if we do, that could be our first, like, you know, Galaxy open world space game, which would be great. But I don't think a Mario game being linear is necessarily a bad thing. I think that, you know, maybe opens up for more demanding platforming, because I feel like Odyssey, even though it's open, with the way it's structured, a lot of the platforming isn't really that demanding. Like, because again, you can fall from a great height and not take damage, first of all, and because Mario's moveset is deep in that game, it allows for the platforming to not be super duper complex, because you have so many moves at your arsenal to, like, help you recover if you miss a jump or whatever. Meanwhile, Galaxy, you don't really have as much to really, fix your jumps if you mess them up. So I think the game's being linear definitely does allow for more strict platforming, more demanding platform, which I really enjoy. I enjoy platformers that have demanding, platforming because it, gives me a challenge. So, yeah, again, I can see why people prefer the more open Mario games like 64 and Odyssey, but I think, Galaxy being linear is not a bad thing, because again, it does allow for more demanding platform, which I personally prefer in my platforming games. So, yeah, I can see the argument here, but personally, I'm on the other side. I think linearity is it's a good thing, at least for me. Starship Mario better than Comet Observatory for the sole reason that level selection is more streamlined. Comet Observatory had nice music, but not much else, and it was sometimes annoying having to go from dome to dome to travel to a specific galaxy, especially near the end game where purple coins get involved. This right here is another argument that I think people are kind of still debating in terms of which game is better, because both hub worlds are good in my opinion. I do prefer the Observatory over Starship Mario. Starship Mario is cool, having a whole spaceship that's Mario's head. But, I actually prefer the Comet Observatory. I like the music, I like, just how cozy it feels. It feels like you're in, like, some sort of space home. Meanwhile, Starship Mario is cool. I didn't really get that whole sense of, like, this is my home. This is, this open area I can run around in and platform and reach these cool areas, and, it didn't really feel as, even though it's a smaller area, it didn't really feel as cozy to me as the Observatory. But yeah, similar to the other hot takes here, I feel like this does come down to preference. I feel like I wouldn't argue with somebody who does prefer Mario or Starship Mario over the Observatory, because again, I feel like people might prefer these smaller, kind of closed-in, cozy areas like Starship Mario is. And yeah, I think the Observatory, the one negative for sure is definitely, as you mentioned, going from dome to dome to reach certain galaxies versus the world map format that Galaxy 2 had with Starship Mario. That could be a downgrade, I guess, but I didn't really mind it that much. It's not really that big of a deal to me anyway, but yeah, I can see that, because again, it does take longer to get to galaxies with how the Observatory is structured versus the world map in Starship Mario. So, yeah, I prefer the Observatory overall over Starship Mario, but I think Starship Mario has its own quirks about it that, might be preferred for most people, but I still prefer the Observatory. Green stars are great, way better post-game than just the whole game again, but with Luigi. This right here is the one reason I prefer Galaxy 2 over Galaxy 1. I love Galaxy 1 so much, but upon further reflection, the post-game reward is not really that great. Like, if you're a first-time player and you love the game that much, like, playing the game again as Luigi is fun the first time because you love the game so much, you want to play it again. But over the years, the more you do it, the less you end up wanting to do it, because it's just the whole game again with a new character for one bonus star, which is the Star Festival Purple Coin one, when you beat the game with both Mario and Luigi. So, again, the first time it's fine, but, like, the more you do it, the more you end up realizing it's not that great. Meanwhile, Galaxy 2, the green stars are put into every single galaxy, so you're playing the whole entire game again, sorta, but you're having to go to, like, new areas and do new things to get these green stars that are pretty well hidden for the most part. Now, a lot of them definitely aren't great. I know people bring up that, like, the green stars are kinda, a lot of them aren't that strong. I mean, they all can't be great. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a, high expectation to expect them all to be great to get, but I think a lot of them are definitely very, very challenging. They, test your platforming, your knowledge of the galaxies, and their designs, but, yeah, I for sure agree here. This is, again, the one reason why I think 2 is a better game, because I like having more to do after I beat the main game, and Galaxy 1 was fine the first time, but, like, the more I did it, the more I didn't the more I beat the first game, like, the main game, the more I didn't end up wanting to do the Luigi stuff, because it's just the same game again with just a new character for 1 star. Meanwhile, Galaxy 2 has these green stars in every galaxy that are, mostly hard to get. So, yeah, I agree. Galaxy 2 has a way better post-game than Galaxy 1 by a landslide. Silver stars on the Stone Cyclone was worse than the perfect run. Man, people just don't like Stone Cyclone in Galaxy 2. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of it either. I kinda am not a fan of the fact that they used a you know, a lone section from a galaxy in the first game and made that a whole entire galaxy in the second game and didn't really improve it that much anyway. But, it was still fine. Like, I still enjoyed doing it. It's just, I wish they kind of made a whole new thing, or at least, like, improved it a bit, because it's the same exact thing. Like, it's not really that changed at all. You're going through, avoiding thwomps, and, you know, trying to reach the end, getting the silver stars, in this one. So, this is, I guess, kind of a joke. I can tell you're kind of, well, you might not be joking, I don't know, but, worse than the perfect run, I guess, but, like, I don't think it's that bad. Again, I do prefer them to, like, you know, either have a new galaxy or at least, like, tweak Stone Cyclone and make it, you know, seem new. But they didn't really try with this one. They just, you know, they took out Stone Cyclone from Beach Bowl Galaxy, copy-pasted into Galaxy 2, didn't change really anything about it, and just put Silver Stars, which... fine, but, like, it's not the best idea for, like, bringing back a galaxy from Galaxy 1. So, yeah, while I agree with this, like, Perfect Run is obviously a better experience than Stone Cyclone, I don't think Stone Cyclone should be getting that much hate for, you know, just being brought back and, you know, again, like I said before with the Special World, trying to capture that nostalgia of certain levels from Galaxy 1. Maybe the best soundtrack of any Mario game. So I mentioned earlier how I do prefer Galaxy 1's soundtrack overall, like you got Gusty Garden Galaxy, Good Egg Galaxy, you got the Luma theme, but Galaxy 2 also has a phenomenal soundtrack. I love the Final Bowser theme, I love the Starship Mario theme, we got Sky Station Galaxy. So yeah, even though I prefer Galaxy 1 over Galaxy 2, I still love 1 or 2 soundtrack, you know, because there are still some absolute bangers in there. You got a whole remix of Whomp's Fortress from 64, which is fantastic, and obviously, it's honestly a bit better than the original. I prefer the jazzy, sort of upbeat remix of the Fortress in this game versus 64, which is really saying a lot. So, yeah, for me, I don't think it's the best soundtrack, and also 3D World has a pretty good soundtrack too, so that's in the conversation. So it's not the best one for me personally, because that goes to Galaxy 1, but it's maybe, like, easy top 3 or top 5. I adore Galaxy 2's OST. Alright, folks, that is it for your Galaxy 2 hot takes. Thank you all to those who sent in your hot takes for this week, and if you guys want to send in your own hot takes for a future episode, then follow me on X, Blue Sky, and on Reddit, because I do post on various Reddit pages where you guys can answer my question about various hot takes of various games. But in the meantime, make sure you guys subscribe, ring the bell, and smash that like button for more amazing hot take videos to come in the future. And I will see you all, as always, in the next one. Goodbye, everybody!